Hi, this is Daniel from Bytesafe. In this video we'll look at how to use Maven and Bytesafe in a few simple steps. We'll focus on installing dependencies and deploying Maven artifacts using a basic configuration, but as you might know, Maven allows for quite advanced configurations, and for that we'll refer you to the Maven documentation. Now let's see what you need to do to get started. First, you need to create a private Maven firewall in Bytesafe, and we do that by clicking here on Create Firewall. Select the package manager and then MVN for Maven. Our name for this firewall will be Maven Firewall or Maven FW. And we'll click here to add an upstream. We'll use the most commonly used public upstream, namely Maven Central. And what this means is that if you're trying to install packages from Bytesafe and they don't already exist, Bytesafe will try to fetch them from the upstream. If we click here on packages, as you can see, and as expected, there are no packages just yet. Let's take a quick look in the Bytesafe documentation for Maven and look at the parts we'll use in our configuration. Just search for Maven and click on Maven Artifacts. Scroll down this page, you'll see all the sections that are required for you to edit your settings configuration. That's the Maven configuration file. So we'll be adding the servers block, which adds the credentials and also the mirrors, just to make sure that Bytesafe is used for all packages. Again, if you want to look into any details for the settings.xml or the pom.xml, which we'll edit later, please go to the public Maven documentation. And as you can see, the settings.xml path is the user's home directory /.m2 and then settings.xml. In order to configure your environment, you'll need to add Bytesafe as the package source in the settings XML and also add the credentials. If you click on the more info, you get a slide over with all the information. And the important part here is to create a token, which we'll use. Either you click on the button or you click here on access tokens. And important here is to select the read-write token, as we'll be fetching packages from the upstream Maven Central, and those packages will be written to Bytesafe. So just make sure it's a read-write token. Generate that, and then copy this token. We'll now edit our settings XML file. And as you can see here, the path is the home directory M2. We've added the mirrors and servers part. We'll update the tokens, the token with the one we just generated, and the username is Bytesafe. And as you can see here in the configure or in the slide over, the ID you can select any name. We'll be using Bytesafe here. Yeah, also use preemptive and set that to true, because that will make sure that the authentication works properly. Our mirror here was being added there, as I mentioned previously. Adding that makes sure that all packages are fetched from Bytesafe, including plugins, snapshots, and so on. The next step is to edit our project file, our POM file. And what we need to do here is just to specify what dependencies we are using, and also to specify our repositories. So we have configured our artifact name, version, and so on. But the important part here is the dependencies. And here we've added 2 different dependencies, which we'll be fetching from Bytesafe. And also the repositories section here. And we've updated the update policies and made sure that it's set to always. That will ensure that the local cache is always up to date with packages from Bytesafe. You can set different frequencies there, but we'll be using always to have the local cache being up to date. And we'll just point out our Maven firewall. You can select different firewalls, but in our demo, we'll be using the same Maven firewall for simplicity. And to make sure that the local cache is not used, I'll look in the M2 Maven folder just to see if there's a repository directory, which there is. I'll delete this folder, which is the same thing as clearing the Maven local Maven cache. So that's now deleted, and we're now ready to install our dependencies. So mvn clean install. When I execute that, I see that the packages are now installed from the example Bytesafe workspace, and that our Maven firewall is used. So everything is working as expected. Shifting to Bytesafe, I see here now that the packages are downloaded into Bytesafe. So, and before they're added to Bytesafe, they are checked for and scanned for vulnerabilities and licenses. And if I just upload or refresh this page, I see that the number of packages is increasing, and also see that there are a few issues coming up. They will, of course, increase as Bytesafe detects vulnerabilities or other issues. If there are any plugins or policies configured, these will also be enforced, but we won't cover that in this video. All packages, including Maven plugins, are now being added, and that's the reason why there are so many dependencies being added. And when it comes to dependencies, both direct and indirect dependencies are added during the installation. So as you can see, quite a few issues were detected, and that's why also it's important to use a tool like Bytesafe. Next step here, what we'll look at is how to upload a Maven artifact. So we need to add additional configuration, the distribution management here. We'll add that to our pom file. We'll add that here. And again, we're using the same Maven firewall for everything. And that's everything that we need to add. And you can find more information about this in the Bytesafe documentation as well. And now let's just switch to Bytesafe. And as we can see, there are 218 versions. And now let's install, typing mvn clean deploy. We see that the packages and that Bytesafe is being used. Yeah, that worked successfully. And switching to Bytesafe, we now see that our test artifact has been added to Bytesafe. And that's everything that we'll cover in this video. Be sure to check out our documentation for Maven, as well as our other videos in the package management series.